Okay, so what I propose to do is to do like the young monks in the monasteries when they're reading. So first do reading the reading by spelling, so by identifying the different parts of the letters of the syllables and then reading them out and then composing the syllables that way. And yeah, I'm going to share my screen here. Pecha, so it's large. I don't know if all of you can see it. So this is just the first page for you to see what we are going to read, and then after we go into the text itself. So this is traditionally taken as a reading exercise. So I remember when I was young in Chechen, then I was given one page of this book. It's the life of Guru Rinpoche and Pema Katang. And I had 1 week to read through it and then to make it so that I'm able to read without making a mistake at a fast rate. And then after that, I had to go to the teacher and read him once, and he made sure that I was able to read it well. And then he took back the folio and gave me a new one. And so we continued that way. And so I'm taking this because it is the reason why it is taken traditionally as the reading exercise is because it's very difficult. So once you're able to read that with ease, then anything can be thrown at you and you're going to be able to be at ease anyhow. And one of the reasons why it is so difficult, it is because it contains a lot of Sanskrit and a lot of old Tibetan. So Tibetan of today, when they read this, they cannot predict what's going to come next. So they really need to be able to read and not guess what is coming next. And so, yeah, it's the same for us as well. Yes. Okay. So that is the thing here. There's a sadhana that starts with it. So we may jump that. Okay. So it's not the Pema Katang yet. Okay, starts here. Yes. Okay. So this is Urgin Ketu. So it's here we have, instead of Gyagar Ketu in Indian language or in Sanskrit, this. Then we have here in Odiyana's language. And that's what is written. So it is actually a terma that was, I don't remember the name of the term, but it's terma, giving the life of Guru Rinpoche. So, yeah. So, yeah, we can start from here, from Buketu. And so I'm going to first read it very slowly, spell very slowly, and then increase in speed. So that those of you who already know how to spell and how to read can also do it. And so if you're already at ease with the speed, then what you can do is just have a short glimpse of the syllable or of the passage, and then not look at it and try to read it on your own. Try to do it from memory so that you can train your ability of jumping from one syllable to the next. And if you're still completely at ease, then instead of looking at the current syllable that we're reading or spelling, you can look at the next one, because that is actually how you build speed. First, you have to, when you start, you look at the syllable that, or the syllable that, the current syllable that is read, and then when you're completely at ease, then you jump to the next one. When you're reading something, you look already on the next one, so you prepare, and so then that's how you can become faster. And at the beginning, you're going to look at one syllable at a time, then 2 syllables at a time, 3 syllables, and then also move on to the next ones. And so even if it is too slow for you, then there are things that you can do in order to improve the speed anyhow, like I just said. And the other thing that is also very good to do is to be aware of how the pronunciation is, to try to correct your pronunciation. Until now, in the Tibetan classes, the accent has been, or the focus has always been on the communication, not so much on how you actually pronounce syllables. So this is a moment where you can actually try to see whether the pronunciation corresponds to what is expected. And so you can, whenever you're reading, so for example, here, for this first syllable, ba naroboda be, so when you spell it, you actually, it's like if you read only ba narobo, and then you add da, and then you have another result. So while you say ba narobo, it's like if you're reading only that syllable. So at that time, you can see what is the sound that is expected for that sequence. And then when you add the da, then you see what changes by adding the da or not. And so try to, my pronunciation is not perfect, of course, and I don't have the best accent, but at least you can tell whether your pronunciation will be good enough or not, if it corresponds to what is expected by the Tibetan person who listens to you. Yeah, I see that Nadia has raised.
Hi, Dulcin. Good morning. Thank you so much. Just logistically speaking, we are going to be muted. You are going to be pronouncing, and we are going to be repeating after you, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And so at the beginning, we can do that. And then when you feel comfortable, what we can do is that instead of me, you do it. And then I mute myself. I still read together with you. And then after we can do that as well. But of course, it's only if you're comfortable enough. I don't want to make people kind of. I know that some people are uncomfortable in being listened to, etc. So if you would like, then please, it would be great for me. And after that, also, what we can do is spend some time when you will see that I'm reading slightly differently than what you heard or what you know that should be said. Then we can talk about that and see these things as well. And so take the opportunity of this session not only to increase the speed of reading, which is good in its own right, because when we read text afterwards, we need to be able to have this speed in order to not get bored and not put all our energy into deciphering the text instead of reading and understanding it. That's the main reason. But besides that, then we can also use that in order to improve our pronunciation. And yeah, and then after, so we are going to do, we're going to do one page at a time, 3 times spelling and 3 times reading, and each in increasing speed. But then afterwards, then we can stop and then talk about whatever came up, and then we can change, or if someone wants to read, then it's okay also. And something that is nice also, I'm going to use something to have the measure, so you can hear. And so the fact of having this melody that you're going to see actually helps in building the speed, because since it is something that is predictable like that, it will help you get into an automatic mode. And so for spelling, just as much as for reading. Okay, so let's get started. Yeah. So I'm going to try as much as possible to keep to keep my my mouse on the letter that we are, on the syllable that we are reading, so that you can follow as well. Okay, so let's go. Pa narombo tambu sankata kandake kashapudu kashapungu rashapuru pandapema pema Aum ba yata ja shapyu jung a jung gao na sa ne ka yata kyang gingung ki sa kata ka yata kya dhengbo ke sa ke Ramba sarab ranata namanam para par thara thar pa shan rengbo she sa she ayantanja wa Bawanda Drengbo De Na Den Pa Rang Rang Bhayanta Ja Shamkyu Jung Jung Sang Sa Sang Rangata Gayata Gya Sa Ge Sa kata ka shapyu ku la nga ta nga ao cha nga chang sa na ta na cha na ro chong ga sa cho. And something you might also look at is how I am exaggerating with my mouth. And so when you want to train pronunciation, just like in English or any language, you're asked to do these tongue twisters and this kind of exercise that you exaggerate, to train the muscles of your mouth, because each language makes a different set of muscles work in the mouth. And so this is something that you might want to do also. And then, of course, if you prefer, turn off your webcam so you can feel completely free to exaggerate and then to twist your mouth around. Okay, so that was slowly. So now let's spell a little bit faster. Pa narom bon tam bu san kata kata ke ta shem kyun tu ka shem kyun gu ra shem kyu ru pan da pe ma Aum ba yata ja shabyu jung jung gao na sa ne ka yata kyang gingung ki sa kata ka yata kya dhengbo ke sa ke ram bha sa rab ra nata na manam para par thara thar pa cha drengbo she sa she pa yanta ja wa bawon da drengbo de na den pa rang rang ba yata ja shabyu ju jung sang sa sang rang gata ga yata gya sa ge sa kata ka shabyu ku la nga ta nga ao cha nga chang sa na ta na cha na ro cho ga sa cho. Now spelling still faster. Ta na ro bon tham bu sa kata ka da ke ta shem kyun du ka shem kyun gu ra shem kyu ru pan da pe ma Aum ba yata ja shem kyu jung jung gao na sa ne ka yata kyang ki gu ki sa kata ka yata kya drengbo ke sa ke ram ba sa rab ra nata na ma nam para par thara thar pa cha drangbo she sa she pa yan ta ja wa bao da drangbo de na den pa rang a rang pa yan ta ja she gyu jung a jung sa nga sa sang rang ga ta ga ya ta gya sa ge sa ka ta ka she gyu ku la nga ta nga ao cha nga chang sa na ta na ta na ro cho ga sa cho. Okay, so this is normal spelling, and actually the other reason why I'm also insisting on spelling, even though it is not something that it's going to sound very useful for people like us, is because whenever you translate or whenever you ask a Kempo about a word and he gives you the spelling, then he will give you the spelling in full speed. Like here, for example, here it will say gauna sanne. Or let's say that is that syllable here, he's going to say ragata gaeta gyasa ge. And so at that speed, you must be able to pick the spelling and to understand it. And so for that to happen, the best way, of course, is to train ourselves from right now. So this is the other application. Yeah, so to communicate about spelling with native speakers. And so when I was studying, it's only when we are able to spell faster than that, that we are allowed to actually start reading. So I'm going to spell fastest. No, here. Ta na ro bo da be ga da ke ta shi gyu do ga shi gyu go ra shi gyu ro pa da pe ma au ba ya ta ja shi gyu jong a jong ga na sa ne ka ya ta ke gyu ke sa ka ta ka ya ta ke dum ke sa ke ra ba sa ram ra na ta na ma na pa ra ta ra pa sha dum ke sa she ba ya ta ja wa ba da dum de na de pa rang a ram ba ya ta ja shi gyu jong a jong sa na sa sa ra ga ta ga ya ta ke sa ke sa ka ta ka shi go la nga ta na au chang a chang sa na ta na ro to ga sa to. Until we are able to read at that speed, then we are asked to train spelling. And then when we are able to do that, then we start reading, actually. And the reason for that is that when you're able to read at that speed, then your eyes are forced to look at the syllable at once. You do not look at each part one after the other, but you're forced to look at this whole syllable at once. And that enables you to see the syllable at once and then read it without actually needing to decipher it. And that's actually what happens when we read in our languages because of the spaces. All of you must have read this text that the first letter and last letter of a word are the correct, and then all the syllables and all the letters in between are completely mixed up, and still we're able to read. So what actually happens is that we look at the word at once, and then we read it. We don't need to actually annotate, to spell like we're doing now. And so once you're able to go that fast in spelling in Tibetan, then you can also do the same with syllables. And then you can actually start reading. Okay, I think that someone wanted to ask something or say something. I saw a hand that was raised. No?
They were just clapping.
Okay. Okay. So that was for the 3 spellings. Now let's do the reading. Pe, ke, tu, ku, ru, pe, ma, chung, ne, ki, ke, rab, nam, tar, thar, pa, she, cha, wa, den, pa, rang, chung, sang, ye, ku, nga, chang, na, to. Now, when we're reading, when we are reciting in sadhanas or when we do practices, we always do by groups of two syllables at a time. That's the normal way of reciting. And so 2 syllable, 2 syllable, 2 syllable, and the last one. And then again, 2 syllable, 2 syllable, 2 syllable, and the last one. And so we're going to do that also in order to get the habit of looking at syllables 2 by 2, and then also to read them 2 by 2. Okay. Bönke tu guru pema chungne ki. And so here it's prose, so I stop at where we should stop. It's not verses. So keys should be read alone. Kierab nampar tharpa sheja wa tempa rangjung sangye punga chang na cho. Okay, a little faster. Pönke du guru pema chungne i kera number harpa shenja wa tempa ranjung sangye punga chang na cho. Okay, so that was on this page. Let's move to the next one. So spelling again, slowly. The same things, the 3 times spelling and then 3 times reading. Hamba san tab ka yata kyang kigu ki sa ki san rembo se ma sa sem cha na chen bao da san de la bao ka na ro kon tha ke kaon da shabdu du la dul pa yata ja an gui chai bao sa ma sam pa ya na ro yong a sa yong sa shabdu su ran zata za na ro zon tha san zo Mauan zan ta ze pa an gingu i tei sa kata ka yata kya jengbo ke chang gingu shi man gingu mi mao nga nga ran data da na rondo ran jata ja jengbo je an gingu i chei sa kata ka shakyuku la aonda shakyu ta du la hatal fa la chata cha ma cham ma na men da ra thamba sa thap ka yata kya kibu ki sa ki sa jengbo se ma sa sem cha na chen bao da jengbo de la bao ka na rong ko ta ke kaon da shem kyun du lan dul pa yan ta ja an gi gu yi chai bao sa ma sam pa ya na ro yo nga sa yong sa shep du su ran za ta za na ron zong ka sa zo maon za ta ze pa an gi gu yi pai sa kata ka yata kya jengbo ke sha gi gu shi ma gi gu mi mao nga ran da 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 na ron do ran ja ta ja jengbo je an gi gu yi che yi sa kata ka she gyu ku la awon da shem kyun dun dan du la hatal fa la cha ta cha ma cham ma na men da ta ra. Okay, faster. Tamba sa tab ka yata kyan jigu ki sa ki sa jengbo se ma sa sem cha na chen pawon da jengbo de la bao ka na ro kon ta ke kao da shem kyu du lan dul pa yata ja an gi gu yi chai bao sa ma sam pa ya naro yong nga sa yong sa shek yu su ran da za naro zong da sa zo mao zan dan ze pa a gi gu yi pei sa ka ta ka ya ta kya den bo ke cha gi gu shi ma gi gu mi mao nga ra da naro do ran je ta ja den bo je a gi gu yi je yi sa ka ta ka shek yu ku la aonda shek yu du dan de la ha ta la la chata cha ma cham ma na men da ra. Yeah, whether it is reading or spelling, if I am going faster than what you are able to, instead of trying to read instead of trying to catch up what you didn't you were not able to read or spell, then just jump to where I am now and try to follow from there. Not try to catch up to what you did. And yeah, this is actually what happens in the prayers when there's pujas happening. Then you're not expected to actually come back and read everything that you didn't read, but you are expected to continue with the umde. So that's also a good habit to start having. And if you're not able to read or spell, then at least try to follow with the eyes. Try to see, okay, we are here, and then do it that way. Okay, so I would like to know if I'm reading, I'm spelling too slow for you, or if I'm for the first one, if I could go faster, and if for the third one, if I could go, if I'm too fast or not fast enough. And
I think it's good as it is.
It's good. And for others?
Yeah, I think it's fine. The third one, the second one, I think it's a little bit too fast. The second
one, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So for the spelling, right? Okay. So and the third one is too fast anyhow, Nadia, right?
Yeah, I'm not able to.
Yeah,
to read. I can read as fast, but I cannot spell that fast.
Okay.
Yeah, just follow. It's fine. Just the second, because just the second is a little bit faster.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and Drupchin, I have a question.
Yes.
I always have problems when we try to spell like the Sanskrit ones, like Mandara.
Yes.
That's the thing that gets like how to do it, how to construct it.
Yeah, actually, the thing is that you have many syllables that are put between two tsek instead of just one syllable. So you have to know that for Sanskrit, just like the way I'm doing, when you have two letters that are on top, one on top of the other, the first one, the one on top belongs to the first syllable, to the syllable before. So that's why we say man and not mana dharawa, because it's ma and na go together. And then once these two are done, then you go down and see what is under. So generally speaking, this is how we have to read Sanskrit that is transcribed in Tibetan. And as for rules to read, to spell it, I don't think there is any. So, and anyhow, the Sanskrit words are going beyond all the rules of correctly constructing syllables in Tibetan. So there is not going to be any way of spelling it right, I guess. There might be in some tradition, some place, some people know an official way of spelling Sanskrit, but I never heard of any. So I'm just trying to keep together the syllables and then try to spell it in the way that looks the closest to how normal Tibetan syllables should be spelled.
Just one question. Here in Mandara, you have like da at the a, but that's that. How do you pronounce that? And is there a rule for that, for the a?
The
there?
a, actually having a under another letter is not Tibetan. Tibetan syllables will never have that.
Is it to emphasize that it's going to be a?
So
like
in
Sanskrit,
yes. So in Sanskrit, when you have a da and then some a that is beside or under or something, it is to lengthen the syllable. And so that's what I try to do. It's da, and so because it's under, so it's ata, and then da. But besides that, yeah, there's not really anything. And so actually in Tibetan, you should not read mana men, mana man, like mandarawa, but it should be mana men, because when you have na, da, and sa, the sound, the vowel changes to a.
But that doesn't happen in every vowel, or it does in everyone?
It does happen. There is always a change. The change is going to be different. For example, if you have here ki, ki, sa, ki, the sa is going to lengthen a little bit, but the e stays e. The vowel stays unchanged. And
like
then,
chen, there are some chen, but
Chen
does it
with
work
che.
for,
So on che, if I don't have the na, it will say che. And then if I put the na, it becomes chen, e. Yeah, so the sound changes. And here, u and u also. Audashe du and da, du. So you have to do this. The kind of the image that I usually give is this. You have to put your mouth like this. U.
so it kind of changes for a French pronunciation, but it also gets longer on the pronunciation too.
And longer, I would not say, but du. Yes. I don't say this. I would need to ask to someone else to make sure that it's getting lengthier or not. For the key, yes, because this is something that you usually have in spoken Tibetan, and in order to distinguish the subject, so kisa ki, and ki means the genitive particle, let's say tap ki senjen. So if you want to say the senjen of the tap, then you won't have the sa. And because of that, the ki is just normal. It's not long. And in order to hear it when you say, then usually you lengthen a little bit because there's a sa. So tap ki senjen, to mark that it is the subject and it's not belonging. It's not there. There's no relation of one thing belonging to the other. So for this particular syllable, yes, I can tell there's difference. Having the sa after or the letter after or not. But for du, ze, chen, etc., I don't know. I would need to ask. Okay, so let's read it, not spell but read it. Tab, i, sem, chen, de, la, que, dul, jay, sam, a, yong, su, zo, ze, e, ke, shi, mi, na, dur, jay, ku, la, du, ta, cham, man, da, ra. Now a little bit faster. Ta, yes.
Is there a rule, for example, in Dorje, like the R that's upper stuck, then it goes with the first one, like Dorje? Is there a rule for that?
So I think this is for individual words. Dorje needs to have that. But then let's say if I have, so what you can know when something like that will happen is because there's no suffix letter. And so it is, yeah, you make the link between the two. But it is only for specific words. So these are words that you're going to encounter again and again, and you're going to remember them.
Okay, thank you.
But if you were to read actually looking at the rules of each syllable, then you would say do, J. Just like when we spell it, rather than do, rajata jedamujagui J. We don't say dur J when we spell. So I think this is just like the normal pronunciation that was changed by the time that that evolved over time in Tibet. It's yeah. So there are a certain amount of words that suffered this kind of erosion.
Dubchen, just one word that's chaksalo. It's always when you see, but when I hear Rinpoche saying, I always hear like changsalo.
Changsalo. Yes. And so here again, it is because the tel starts with a a. Let me see if I can find the syllable, but actually at the beginning there must be some.
Chaksalo, right?
Yes, here. Changsalo. So this a usually becomes a nasal.
Ah.
And for example, you have gen dun. Dun also start da shabguduna dun. And so because it is a moment where you have to say something, it's like when you usually when people ask you something you don't really know, but you don't want to keep silence, and so there's nasal sound that comes.
Okay.
And so here it is a moment that in the past there was some sound that was needed to be pronounced because each letter was pronounced, but just the a was awkward, so they changed it into a nasal because it was easier. So changsal.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Dun. Yeah. So usually when it is another place, just like Dorje, when you have a ao, but in between, in the middle of a word, not at the beginning of a word, nor at the end of a word. For example, you have dunpa, which is intention, the same dun with the same spelling, but you do not say dun, dunpa. But when it is in the middle of a word, gen dun, then here, yes, then you will put the nasal sound.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So now reading a little faster. Yes, and also something that you can do is try to look in between the two tek, if possible, looking at the main letter, main consonant, and then from there broadening your view span in order for you to be able to read and to see the other letters without moving your eyes. And so at the beginning, try to do that with one syllable. Here for ki, it's kind of compact, so it's fine. But here, sem, for example, you have to go much farther on the right. So try to keep your eye here on the sa and look with your peripheral vision. Start looking on the sides to be able to read without moving so much your eye. And then once you are at ease with syllables, with one syllable, then you can still broaden it to go from sem until chen. So to look at once without moving your eyes, 2 syllable or 3 syllable. And so that's how you're going to build this ability that we have when we read into our languages, to look at a word at once that has 10 syllables, that has 10 letters. Our eyes have this ability to look very large, because that's how we see, that's how we read long words in our languages, when we read not trying to look at each letter. And so making it so that you do it on purpose, looking at the syllables here, will allow you to develop that for Tibetan and also build the speed. So even if you're at ease with the speed of what we're at the speed that we're reading now, try to build this ability of broadening your peripheral vision, and that will help you afterwards to read faster. Okay. So now I'm going to, so now I cannot, but afterwards when we're going to spell, I'm going to put only at the main letter where we usually put the focus of our eyes and then broaden from there. But here, because there's 2 syllables, then it's difficult. Okay. 탑, 이, 셈젠, 델라, 그, 들제, 쌈바, 용수, 저제, 회, 예시, 밍아, 들제, 풀라, 두, 하점, 만다, 라. Yes, maybe it was a little bit too fast for this, but something the reason when you have this pause in the middle after the 2 syllables, try to already prepare the next 2 syllables. Try to look at them already, so that when you have to read them, it's easier. You already have seen them. Try to use the pause in the middle to already go forward. 함기, 셈젠, 델라, 그, 들제, 쌈바, 용수, 전제, 배, 예시, 밍아, 덜제, 꿀라, 두, 사점, 만다, 라. Okay, so maybe shall we make a pause now, or shall we continue? Yes, I was thinking, yeah, it's already 45 minutes we're into it, so maybe we just continue that, and then after, at the end of this hour, we'll make a pause before the next session. Okay, so yeah, the speed is fine for now, right? For everyone. Okay. Yes, and then yeah, something that you're going to ask at some point is also when to read ba and when to read wa. And the answer is when it is at the end of a word, you read it wa, and when it is at the beginning of a word, you read it ba. So, for example, a cow is bachu or ba, but here, since it comes after mandara wa, it's at the end, so it is wa. Or yes, so here we only have words that are Sanskrit, so it's not really good examples. But yeah, for example, here chawa, chawa. If it was nepar cha, batang, so if ba was the beginning of a new word, then it would be ba. But here, since it is the end, then it is wa. Okay, so it's the end of the name of Mandarawa. Wa, tang, tang, pa, la, bel, aom, bang, sa, bang, ka, la, sang, gingu, si, da, hatan, da, gingu, di. Yes, okay, actually, so sang, gingu, si, da, sid, da, hatan, gingu, di, tang, dang, ba, la, bel, ma, na, ro, mo, sha, ta, sha, ka, ya, ta, kya, tan, reng, bon, de, wa, tang, tang, ma, na, ro, mo, na, mun, ma, na, ro, mo, ba, won, ka, ra, ta, tra, shang, gingu, shi, sa, shi, ka, yata, kya, drengbo, ke, aon, da, rata, dra, drengbo, dre, na, dren, tang, tang, pa, shem, jung, bun, tang, bu, ma, drengbo, men, ta, me, ya, drengbo, ye, sha, drengbo, she, sa, she, mao, ta, na, ron, to, rang, gata, ga, yata, ya, la, gel. Okay, a little faster. wa tang tang ba la bel ao bang a sam bang ka la san di gu si da sin da ha ta da di gu di tang tang ba la bel ma na ro mo sha ta sha ka ya ta kya ta dreng bo de wa tang tang ma na ro mo na mun ma na ro mo ba wa ka ra ta tra shang gi gu shi sa shi ka ya ta kya dreng bo ke ao da ra ta dra dreng bo de na dren tang tang pa shem jung bu dan bu ma dreng bo me da me ya dreng bo ye sha dreng bo she sa she mao ca na ro co rang ga ta ga ya ta ya la gel. So I don't know if you noticed, but ma dreng bo me da me, so sha dreng bo she sa she, it remains a here. So it looks like the da changes the a into a, but the sa no. Ma dreng bo me da me. Me is I don't have, right? Like you all know in Tibetan. And yeah, she is to know. She. Sha dreng bo she sa she. Just like you have learned as well. So when you have the da, it becomes a, and when you have the sa no. Okay, third time. Faster. Tang 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 ba la bel ao bang a sa bang ka la sang gi gu sin da ha ta da gi gu din tang tang ba la bel ma na ro mo sha ta ya ta kya ta dreng bo de wan tang tang ma na ro mo na mun ma na ro mo ba o ka ra ta tra sha gi gu shi sa shi ka ya ta kya dreng bo ke awon da ra ta dra dreng bo dre na dren tang tang ba shab ju bu dam zu ma dreng bo me da me ya dreng bo ye sha dreng bo she sa she ma o ta na ro co rang ga ta ga ya ta gya la gel. Okay. So, and do we have the time? We have 10 minutes. Yeah, I think we have time to do that. Tang tang ka shem pyung gu ra shep ju ru an jing gu yi ru yi ta shem ju tung ka sa tu sa shep ju su pa ya ta ja na ro jo na jun ta an jing gu yi pe yi ta shem ju bu dan bu ma zheng bo me ta me la nga ta nga sa nge. So we'll do the 3 times verse per verse, so we can have the time to get accustomed to this syllable. Tang tang ka shem jung gu ra shem ju ru an gi gu yi ru yi ta shem ju tu ka sa tu ta shem ju su pa ya ta ja shem jo na jun ta an gi gu yi pe yi ta shem ju bu dan bu ma zheng bo me da me la nga ta nga sa nge. Faster. Tang tang ga shem jung gu ra shem ju ru an gi gu yi ru yi ta shem ju tu ga sa tu sa shem ju su pa ya ta ja na ro jo na jun pa an gi gu yi pe yi pa shem ju bu dan bu ma zheng bo me da me la nga ta nga sa nge. Okay, move to the next verse, starting slow. Man ki gu mi awon da shem jun du la dul la sa le cha na chen ka la na ro lo ra na ta na ma nam bao sang ka tang ga ya ta ya shab ju yu ra yur tang tang. Don't forget to if you're at ease, either to look at the next syllable while you're spelling it by heart, or close your eyes and do it by heart when you're at ease with the speed. Mangi gumi awanda shamyundu landul la sale jana jen ka la narolo ranatana manam bawasa gataga yataja shabyu ragur tanga tang. Sir. Mangi gumi awanda shamyundu landul la sale Jana jen ka la narolo ranatana manam bawasang gataga yataya shabyu ranjur tanga tang. Next syllable. Daonka naronko nakun maocha naro chonka cho kaosa shabyu su masum nangiguni Kaona sane para par ayataja wa tanga tang taoka naropo nakun maocha naro chonga cho kaosa shapyusu masum nagiguni kaona sane para par ayataja wa Tanga tang. Faster still. Taoka naroko nakun maucha narochong ka cho kaosa shepjusu masum nagiguni kaona sane para par hayataja wa tanga tang. Next one. Bawasan tatata naten kaonyang kiguni sani Ya ma za shapyu zu nga zung ga kigu gi sa gi sa drengbo se la sel ma drengbo men ta me ha yata cha kigu chi ra chir. Yes. Facundo?
Drupchen, can I ask you the second line? Konchok. Do you pronounce the ka after chanaro mao chanaro cho ka cho, but at the end the ka?
Yes.
I sometimes hear that not so many people pronounce the ka at the end. It's not
Yes.
chok, right?
Yeah, it's not chok. That's for sure. So when you see in the phonetics, when you see there's a G at the end, you should not actually, Tibetans don't pronounce it. But what actually happens is that when you pronounce chok, you put your mouth in the position of pronouncing the ga, but you stop right before. It's not cho.
I see.
It's not chog. It's cho.
I see.
Cho.
It is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is. I think sometimes, like English, for example, you say hot. You don't say hot. No, you can say hot, but you put you place your mouth like you're going to say, but you don't.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what happens here.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And the same for here, rab. Rabba, rab. You don't say rab. You say rab. Yeah, I think that's it. With the na and the ma, you cannot do that because they are nasals. So anyhow, the sound will come out exactly as it should. With the la, dul, also it's pronounced usually, and da and sa, they're not pronounced as such. So yeah, it is with the ga and ba. You, like we said, you put your mouth as if you would, but you don't. And because you put your mouth in this position, the sound that will come out is distinct enough to know that there's a ga there. So when you hear that, you know that it should be spelled that way. Try to hear cho, cho, and cho. The sound is completely different, right? Cho. and cho. So when you hear cho, you know that there's a ga afterwards. Even not seeing the person and the mouth of the person, but just hearing it is the sound is different enough so that you know that there's a ga after. Yeah, good question. Thank you. Okay, so we were here, right? Second spelling reading. Bao san ta 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 na ten gao nyang ki gu ni sa ni ya ma za shep ju su nga zung ta ki gu ki sa ki sa rengbo se la sel ma rengbo me da me pa yata cha ki gu chi ra chir. And so here for sa rengbo se la sel, also the a becomes a when it is followed by a la, when there's a la as a suffix. Okay, fast now. Bao sa ta 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 na ten gao nyang gi gu ni sa ni ya ma za sha gyu zong nga zong ka gi gu gi sa gi sa zheng bo se la sel ma zheng bo me da me pa ya ta cha gi gu chi ra chir. Okay, next one. Mao anda na ro do sa nga ta nga ga sa nga ta ba sa thap ta nga dang sha deng bo she sa she ra ba rap sa nya ta nyang gi gu ni nga ning pa na ro po an gi gu i po i bao ka ha ka. Okay, second time. Mao da na ro do sa nga ta nga ga sa nga ta ba sa thap ta nga dang sha zheng bo she sa she ra ba rap sa nya ta nyang gi gu ni nga ning pa na ro po an gi gu i po i bao ka ha ka. Last one. Mao da na ro do sa nga ta nga ga sa nga ta ba sa thap ta nga dang sha zheng bo she sa she ra ba rap sa nya ta nyang gi gu ni nga ning pa na ro po an gi gu i po i bao ka ha ka. Okay, so now time is up. Any question or observation before we take the pause? So did any one of you have, or does any one of you have pain in the mouth? No? Then you didn't exaggerate enough. And yeah, actually, if you really want to have, I remember when the monks, not only me, but all the monks during the Drupchen or during the pujas, etc., were all told that if you're able to only not miss a single syllable during the full Drupchen, then you have the same merit as if you have done a 3-year retreat. And then, of course, pronounce it nicely, pronounce it well. So that was a very great incentive for all of us to try to not miss every syllable and to actually pronounce it the right way. And then the only way to ensure that you have the right pronunciation each time is to exaggerate at the beginning. So we all did that. And yeah, that's what all actors do, right? Also, either in the theater or in the cinema. Okay, so let's meet in half an hour. Is that the time for the pause? Right?
Okay, half an hour.
Or
Is it right? No?
I don't remember.
I'm not really sure because I thought before we had like from 7:30 to 9 and maybe from 10 to 11:30.
Okay,
or
so 1 hour. Okay.
I think was it something like that, Sonam? Yeah. You always remember the time there.
So an hour?
Maybe I should look at that. Yeah, okay. Can make it 1 hour if it's okay for you.
So 9:30 here. Okay. Oh, in Brazil's time.
Drumchandra,
Yes.
will you share the text with
Sure.
us so that we can practice during the week?
Yes. Sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to put it into the Dharmasagar 2022 folder.
Nice.
So you can,
Thank you.
All of you can have it. Yeah. And I have one version that is like this in Pecha. I have one version that is digitalized, so you can make it bigger if you want to.
Mhm.
Better for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. See you in 1 hour then.
Okay, see you later.